Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Karga916. Um, and I'm doing my updated version of my Ignite Exodia FTK deck. I've basically gotten out of all the kinks, and it FTKs. If you open Royal Magical Library and no Exodia pieces, I almost guarantee an FTK. Unless you mess up, because there is a bit of a strategy to it. Okay, so I'll just go over the deck real quick. You have three of all the normals: Caliber, Riot, Dragonov, Musket, Eagle, and Magnum. Obviously, your five Exodia pieces. One Rescue Hamster, three Royal Magical Library, two Reinforcement of the Army, one Day of Peace, three Upstart, one Terraforming, two Summoner's Art, one Pot of Riches, and three Ignite Phoenix. The extra deck actually is now important. Gaia, number 39, Bouncer, Gauntlet Launcher, Keeper of Genesis, Volcasaurus, really good card. This is also another really good tech card for this deck because it helps you get your draw power engine going. Is Durendal. So whenever I can Pendulum Summon a Royal Magical Library with two of the Riots, I definitely do. Also Diamond Dire, Castel 101. Diamond Dire is also very good for popping your own cards to basically set up your Pendulum Scale again, because that can happen quite often actually. You basically run out of these guys in deck, but you still have some in hand, and you can just pop it to get your more scales from your hand. Number 86, Lavalval Chain, and Exoton Knight, Nightmare Shark, and Mech Engineer. This card's pretty good because they're all warriors, and you have 6 level 4s, so technically if you get 5 level 4s on field and you just overlay for this guy, it's pretty much GG. These side deck cards are just basically other cards that you can have in this deck. All the Tyrant cards are pretty good in this, if you're playing a non-Exodia build. Also, this is up to you. I find it's more consistent my way, but you could do Temple of the Kings plus Jar of Avarice to add back your upstarts, summoners, reinforcements, terraforming, and the field spells. Heat Wave is also really good, and then this card is okay for the deck. Same thing with Crazy Box. If you get lucky with the Crazy Box, it's pretty good too. But basically, the main part of the deck is if you can normal summon the Royal Magical Library, you use any of these tech cards. You usually want to keep Pot of Riches for the end, because that helps you near the very end. If you can keep this card last, that's very good. And basically, you're just going to set up your Pendulum Scales, destroy them, get more scales, draw with more Royal Magical Library, and then eventually you'll probably draw into Rescue Hamster. Rescue Hamster, you basically use it, you get a free counter for it, for Royal, as well as then you can send it to the grave to add 2 more for another scale. As well as what you definitely want to do is, as soon as you get your second Royal Magical Library out of your deck, you're going to want to Pendulum Summon it. That way you'll be drawing off 2 Royal Magical Libraries in your first turn, which basically almost guarantees the FTK. And the reason you play only 2 Summoners and 2 Reinforcements is you'll actually start losing your targets in deck. So at 2 it's perfect. Terraforming to add the Field Spell card, because you can... Field Spell card gives you a counter for Royal, as well as you can use the effect to pop a Pendulum Summon, or a Pendulum Scale card, which also gave you a counter to add another one, to give you a 3rd counter, so you can basically get 3 counters off just Phoenix, which lets you draw and then get another scale. I basically can usually get quite a few draws off that, if you have multiple of the field spells in your hand. But the deck is very consistent. I think it's the most consistent Exodia deck I've ever seen. Obviously, going into Randall really helps late game, as well as if you can Pendulum Summon 2 Royal Magical Libraries. It's not necessary, but it helps. Obviously, your turns take a very long time, so be prepared for that. If you're playing on Dev Pro, you can actually time out. It makes you run out of time and skips your turn sometimes before you can complete it. I've had that happen a lot of times just before I get Exodia. But basically, I think I've gotten all the kinks out of the deck. You don't It doesn't really burn out ever anymore. It used to kind of burn out. You would run out of targets in deck. But now I've kind of fixed that issue with the Pot of Riches as well as the Durandal and the Diamond Dire Wolf, because basically you can add from deck or graveyard. So basically you Diamond Dire your own Pendulum Scale, and that gives you 3 targets in grave to add with, which is a lot better than adding from your deck. But also, if you add it from your deck, it deck thins, so that's also pretty good. So it's situational to going into Diamond Dire or the Durandal, but it definitely helps getting the FTK. Also, Lavalval Chain is pretty good because you could send one to grave, or let's say you got like 5 cards left in deck and you have 4 pieces of Exodia. Lavalval Chain, put the last piece on the top of your deck, and usually you've used 1 day of peace by then, so they can't OTK you that turn, and then you basically just draw into the last piece. Or you can send one to the grave to add it with your scale add. Or if you're playing Jar of Avarice, that could work too. This is a build you could try as the Temple of the Kings and Jar of Avarice. You only need to play 1 because you can only activate 1. Same thing with Pot of Riches. If you could play more, I'd play more. But you can only activate 1 per turn, and it's an FTK deck, so you only need 1. So that's my updated build for my Exodia Ignite deck. Very consistent. Give it a try. I'll see you guys in the next video.